So let's jump right into it, and I want to know sort of the your first introduction to Beyonce, when you first heard a song of hers, saw a video of hers, anything like that.
Oh wow. Well, my first introduction to Beyonce was of course Destiny's Child and like her Crazy in Love era. And I was a little girl when I heard of her and I thought she was really cool. I'm 3, 4. She looked pretty to me. But when I really got into her was after I met her because I played the younger version of her in this movie called Fighting Temptations. And when I met her, she had the best spirit. I think she was like 22, 23 around that time. And she was so nice to me. And I just remember she always wanted to dance with me and just hold me. So because of that, I really loved her. And after that, I just became more infatuated. And I was like, okay, I already really liked her in Destiny's Child. She's really nice to me. And I started falling more in love with her music. And I think that's how I first got introduced to like Beyonce.
Yeah. And then because I'm the little sister, I remember that premiere of the Fighting Temptations when Chloe was there and walking on the red carpet with her little self. I remember being there. I think I was like 3?
You were like
two or
3 or 2.
but I
yeah.
remember like flashes of it and stuff. And ever since then, I remember her just really loving Beyonce as an artist. She would always play her music, and just because she would always play her all the time, I would be like, oh, this is good too. And then I started becoming a huge Beyonce fan as well, like everyone else. So it just turned into this beautiful love for her, and we were so inspired from a very young age by her.
And what was it about, like, once you started to listen to more of her music, that really felt inspirational to you and felt like this is something that you love listening to, that you love kind of having in your life as future musical artists and now musical artists?
Yeah, well, one thing for me I can definitely say is I remember in Destiny's Child, the messages were like so
Mhm.
empowering
Yeah.
as women. Like, I'm a survivor, I'm gonna
Mhm.
get through it. Like, it was just so inspiring. It made you want to be yourself,
Yeah.
and it made you feel confident and free in being a woman. And I remember
Mhm.
from a young age hearing those mantras and just being like, you know what, this is making me feel better. This is really positive. So I would say that's what really kind of started my love for them as a whole first, and then of course her.
Yeah, and I have to totally agree with you. Like, I still blast Me, Myself, and I to this day. And I just love her songs because it makes you stand in your power as a woman. For me, what really stood out to me and what really truly made me fall in love with her as an artist was her performing. She's an entertainer and she's one of the greatest. And I remember as a family, we would all be in the living room and we would always just watch the award shows and just wanting to wait for her performance. And I remember always staring at the TV in awe and just being so mesmerized. And I remember the very first concert we went to, she performed. It was Missy Elliott as well and Alicia Keys. And I just remember watching Beyonce and being like, that's what I want to do one day. And I can truly say that she is one of the many inspirations that made me want to do music. And so I think definitely her performing for me like got me hooked.
And as you have become performers yourselves and have sort of not only become performers in your own right, but also have her as a mentor and have her as someone that has supported your career, like, what has been sort of the biggest lesson you've learned from both watching her and also from her explicitly in your lives, and kind of helping guide you in some ways?
I think one of the great things that I've been able to witness as a fan, as well as in person, is her grace. And, she's human, but the way she just blocks out the negativity and never really responds to the BS and just lets the art and her talent and work speak for itself, that is really inspiring to my sister and I as young women because, what we're doing is not easy and you constantly putting yourself out there in your most vulnerable state and you're open to constant criticism from the entire world. And yeah, you can see all these beautiful kind comments, but you'll see that one that just kind of tears you down and breaks your soul. And we're human. It's not like we're robotic. It can be like, oh, that doesn't bother me. But what I appreciate about her is how she chooses to rise above it, stand tall on it, and that's why she's Queen Bee, and that's how she is who she is.
Do you have each a favorite Beyonce song or album? I know it's always kind of hard to choose when
Oh,
it's in. Yeah.
that is too hard, but I would say maybe the most recent song that I just am loving by her is Bigger.
Oh yeah.
That is like when I'm feeling down and I'm feeling like I cannot go on. I turn that song on and that gets me going. You know?
Yeah. For me, I mean, it changes constantly, but I really love Kitty Cat by her.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Let's go,
I
little
love
kitty
her
cat.
whole B-Day era is just phenomenal to me. I love Kitty Cat. That's my choice for today.
And with sort of the early beginnings of you guys with your YouTube and everything and being on her label, I remember you guys did Best Thing I Never Had. What made you choose that song to cover in that particular moment when you did it, if you remember?
Well, one, we were huge Beyonce fans, and that was actually our very first cover. We never,
Was that our first one?
Mhm.
Wow.
Like we never actually, that was our first cover. And I remember we heard the song, we loved it. We found the piano instrumental online, burned it on a CD. That's when you had to burn it on a CD and put it on the stereo player. And we did it. I mean,
Yeah, that wasn't it was
yeah,
just like we love this song, we're gonna do it.
yeah,
And then we did a bunch of her other stuff.
yeah, so many.
So it was just like
And what's really fun about getting to talk with you guys is everyone sort of has chosen an artist who, for many of them, they may have never met, or someone that, they've always hoped to work with, things like that, or someone they may never get to meet or work with. And I'm curious, sort of with the relationship that you guys have with her, and obviously with Parkwood, everything, like, what has sort of been her position on mentoring or helping out with things that you guys do? Is she sort of like go into the studio like, I can't wait to see the final product, or do you like to call upon her when you are stuck with a song with sort of an idea that you want to get her perspective on?
What I truly appreciate is that we have complete and total creative freedom. And she understands that being another artist. So when it's us creating, it's purely our own ideas, our own lyrics and melodies that we want to get out. We have our home studio in our garage. We create all of our projects. We executive produce all our projects. And a lot of artists can't say that because labels are constantly telling them what to do, what to say, but Beyonce understands. So she just lets us spread our wings, experiment, do what we want. We'll put the project together and then we'll send it over to her because, of course, we love and appreciate her notes and she has so much experience. We would, of course, want her knowledge always. But before we even get to that point, it's solely us. And when we send it to her, we're nervous. We're like, okay, if she likes it, what's she going to think? What's she going to say? And when we sent this last project, Ungodly Hour, to her, we were just floored and so happy and appreciative that she loved the project. And she really barely had any notes, which is rare because she's a Virgo queen, so you know how that is. So I was like, okay, that she was actually really like this. So we're just happy that we have the best of both worlds. We create from our hearts and we create what we want, and then we also get to hear her opinions on it after the fact too.
I'm curious, if would you ever, I mean, I'm sure what the answer to the question is, but if there was a collaboration that you'd want to do with her, in what capacity would it be? Would it be kind of a song, like, do the like Watch the Throne of Parkwood with you guys and Beyonce and an album? Like, what would be your dream version of a collaboration with
oh
them?
my goodness. I feel like collaborating with her in any way we would love to do. I mean, musically, she's genius. So of course that would be a dream to do a song with her. I feel like she is just so amazing in the way that she just wants us to just continue to do us and be free, and kind of just do our own thing without kind of that pressure of her being on a song or having to be a right song. So I feel like that's kind of her mindset on it. But Chloe and I, of course, would love it.
Yeah, like I don't know, because we're still huge fans of hers. So if she ever graced one of our songs or we ever perform together, I would be like pinching myself still, like even though we know her, I still fangirl every time inside. She might not know it, but I do.
And what's the best, as you mentioned, her being a Virgo queen and having sort of someone who can kind of speak to a level of work ethic in the industry that is so important. What is the best and maybe even most surprising advice that you've ever gotten from her on either song or performance or anything that she's sort of been able to kind of help guide in that way?
You know, sometimes I am surprised with her ear. Like the certain notes that she will say about a song or something would be completely something I didn't even think of.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's really cool to just be like, oh wow, how did you even get there? Like, how did you hear that? So I would say that's been one of the things that are surprising to me about her is her ear is so developed and unique that she will break apart and hear everything and just give you a beautiful different perspective on it. So that's been something that's been really surprising for me, just being inspired by her but actually seeing how she works.
Yeah, I think what is also really inspiring to me about her, other than her incredible performing and her beautiful voice, it is how she is as a businesswoman, how she knows what she wants. She's not afraid to articulate that. And us growing into our womanhood and being in this industry as young Black women, it's important to see that kind of representation so that you know not only can we do the creative, but we can speak about what we want and what we don't want and what we won't allow. Because, you know, in any industry, it's easy to get screwed over. But if you know your business, you know your stuff, then you won't. And being able to see how she commands a room as a businesswoman, not even as an artist, that's truly inspiring. And I hope that we could even be a little bit of that one day.
Even in the process of creating an album like Ungodly Hour and just seeing even as a fan of yours and seeing how much you guys have grown and how have you guys heard your seen and your own ears kind of develop in that way and seeing how you've absorbed that type of like being able to like listen to those types of things that you may not have heard on your first releases or on your early songs.
Yeah, well, I definitely have to say it's growth because we are songwriters, and when we create our music we're just pouring our hearts out into the songs, and we're growing from experience and seeing new things, learning about love, heartache, heartbreak, falling more in love with ourselves and our flaws, being confused about what's going on. That is all inspiration into the music, and of course our ears have definitely grown.
Oh yeah.
Like we listened to our first projects. I still love them. They're our babies. We would not be here without them. But I
Some
definitely,
songs were
yeah,
like, what were we thinking?
I definitely hear things I would change. But I also have to give credit to ourselves because you could hear how carefree we were with creating. We didn't care about any barriers, any song structure. We just did what we just wanted to, what made our hearts sing. And even some demos on our computers, I listen, and some are trash. That some, I'm like, we might need to revamp this because I don't know where this came from. So I can appreciate our past versions of ourselves and also us right now, who we will be in the future, because we're both growing so well. And I'm so happy with how strong we are, not only on our own, but together. And I can't wait to create more and more music and for people to hopefully sing it and buy it and all that. So, yeah.
Finally, to encapsulate and also sort of, you know, get at what the greater conversation is of my inspiration of why you're so inspired by Beyonce. If you can sort of sum up the who Beyonce is to you and why artists, especially artists who are coming up after you, should look to her and learn from her as someone who kind of emulates like the artist that you want to be and want to listen to and look to be empowered by in your life.
I mean, she is just the true definition of what it is to be yourself and work hard and just give it your all. And what happens when you do all of those things. And as young artists, as young Black women who watch her, you automatically know your worth. You know to stand in your power because you're like, wow, look at this other Black woman killing it. All she had to do was be herself and work hard and push herself. That's all she had to do. Let me try. Let me do that. And I think that's why, for me, it's just really so inspiring for someone like me who loves to sing and loves to be in music and everything and do all of the above. And although this is tough, it's a hard journey to be on and be in front of everyone and have to be okay with them saying all these things about you, and one little thing that you do can just be overanalyzed by everyone, and knowing that you have to be strong, um, and not let that get to you. I feel like watching her do all of those things and rise above all of the madness, and just be her talent is just what's been so inspiring to me. So that's just like a little piece of why I feel like she is the epitome of just greatness.
Yeah. For me, just by watching her, she has taught me, like my sister said, it's okay to be yourself. You could be that wholeheartedly and completely. You don't have to lessen yourself. You don't have to dim your light. Shine, be yourself, be free with it. Stand strong in that power. And because she has done that, she has made me